Our guest today is a man who has a lot of passion for the railroads. He is the owner of the Juniata Terminal Railway facility in the Philadelphia region, but probably most well known as the owner and operator of two classic Pennsylvania Railroad E8s. Please welcome to the Roundhouse, Mr. Bennett Levin. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, I think one of the most touching stories that I came across was that of your work to put together the Liberty Limited. And I'd love to hear you share that here, because I think that is just an incredible story of how many moving pieces you were able to put together for that.
Well, that's an interesting. That was really all my wife's idea. We were driving to California, and we were in the West Texas desert, and we were listening to Tony Snow on the radio, and he was talking about the Wounded Warrior Project. And my wife says, "My God, we got to do something." So by the time we got to California, this is 2005, I said, well, maybe we'll run a train and take the wounded from Walter Reed and Bethesda to the Army-Navy game. But I had no idea whether you could do it or you couldn't do it. And I got a hold of David Gunn, who was president of the Amtrak. I said, what do you think? And David Gunn and Joe McHugh, the vice president of government affairs, said to me, absolutely, we'll be in with you to do this. And at that time, I was the trustee of the Army War College Foundation in Carlisle. And I made arrangements through the foundation and the Pentagon to meet the general that was in charge of Walter Reed. And we went down, my wife and I went down and meet him, I guess in March 2005, and we made a proposal to him to take 100 wounded to the game. And we had no idea, absolutely had no idea if we could do it. He said, fine. We said, right, there's only one set of rules that if we do this, we want no politicians on the train, we want nobody from the media, no press, and nobody from the Pentagon. And the general agreed with it. And then we went to work. We put together 18 private cars, and we raised the money to buy the tickets. It cost us $16,500 to buy tickets for the warming room and the game, and the Association of American Railroads contributed, and we had private people contributed. Woolwich up in Woolwich, Pennsylvania, donated stadium blankets for the soldiers. And each soldier, sailor, or Marine could bring a father or a mother, or they bring their girlfriend, their wife, their husband, their boyfriend, whatever it happens to be. They all could bring a guest. And Walmart gave us digital cameras, and Bushnell gave us binoculars, and Gear gave us embroidered jackets, and we put together one hell of a trip for 100 wounded military. And we got them tickets on the 50-yard line, and they all had dinner in a dining room in an office car with china and linen and glassware, choice entrees. They got a real first-class experience. And it's been the gift that for us goes on giving, because my wife and I, even though we said no publicity, it made its way to the internet. And this every year about this time, it hits the internet again and goes around. And we've been blessed to have been honored for doing it. But the biggest pleasure we have gotten was being able to bring some joy into these people that have sacrificed so much for our country, and whose service has really gone unappreciated by most of our citizens who just don't care. It's a real crying shame.
I think what was good about the story getting out there is obviously you weren't doing this for the glory or recognition. You were doing this because you wanted to give them a good time. But I think it highlights the need for the average citizen not just to remember the service and sacrifice that these brave men and women have performed, but also that they still have lives ahead of them and they still have experiences they want to have. And especially for some of the hospital's patients who maybe they aren't able to get out as much because of whatever medical conditions they might have, for them to be able to travel by train and feel appreciated like that, that's just immensely important.
The interesting thing is, I was in a hobby shop in Pasadena, the Whistle Stop Hobby Shop. Fred Hill's the owner, and this was like a year ago, and he came up to me and he says, I have two customers who rode the Liberty Limited. And he said both of them were never model railroaders, but from that experience, they became model railroaders. And the interesting thing is that Jim Rinn from Trains magazine, the people at Comback, had given me a collection of magazines, Trains, Classic Trains, Model Railroader, and Classic Toy Trains to put on each car. So these soldiers, the Marines, whatever they happen to be, must have taken the magazines, and they became model railroaders. So it gives you a sense of satisfaction that you've added something dimensionally to the lives of those who have really sacrificed so much for the freedoms that we enjoy.